welcome to College Vibes, our very own podcast series by College Counseling Coach. In this podcast series, we will be interviewing undergrad and postgrad students who are presently studying in Australia, UK, USA, Canada, Singapore, and other countries of Europe. The aim is to bring to you their experiences, their learnings, their advice, and some special nuggets which only they would know considering that they are attending college in these specific places. We hope that there is a lot of takeaway from these interviews for you as you gear up for your study abroad admission prep journey. We present to you College Vibes by College Counseling Coach. Hi, Rishabh. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Rishabh, welcome to our podcast series, College Vibes from College Counseling Coach. And we are very happy that you are our first guest on this podcast. And as I welcome you to this podcast, I'd also like to, inform our viewers, whoever is watching this podcast, as to what the entire purpose of having this series is about. So we are into college counseling. We train students, we mentor students, we counsel students, we coach students, whichever way you put it, how they can prepare to get into colleges abroad for their undergraduate studies. So while there is a whole lot of material already out there, we thought that why don't we get it straight from the horse's mouth? Somebody who's fresh in his journey of having just entered college, maybe in US, UK, Canada, Australia, Europe, any of these places, and let them speak about what their journey has been like. What have they done right? What could they have done better? What is their course all about? And how, from your story, others can sort of take pointers, be inspired, or follow a certain path, or even understand that probably what they are doing is correct. Okay, so that is what we are trying to derive out of this conversation with the students who are in the second year, third year, just finished college. So people who have just done something which others are doing currently or aspire to do.
Definitely. I'll be really happy to help you with that, and thank you for inviting me.
All right. Rishabh, we'd like to start with you telling us something about yourself. Please introduce yourself, your school, where you've spent your childhood, and then we'll get started with the more meaty questions.
For sure. So my name is Rishabh Menon, and I've lived in Bangalore all my life. From grade 1 to 10, I was in a school called Sishugraha, which was an ICSE school in New Tipasandra. And in 11th and 12th, I switched board and I went to the IB board and I studied in TISB. And throughout my entire schooling, from grade 1 to grade 10, grade 12, I've been very interested in maths and physics and the STEM side of education. And that's why I've decided to take engineering. And I'm currently in my second year, or sophomore, doing a course called MET at Texas A&M. It stands for Manufacturing and Mechanical Engineering Technology. It's a bit of a name to it, but it's a super exciting course and I love what I'm doing here.
No, it's not super lame at all. It is what everyone would want, to do something which is
I said it has a very long name to it.
Long name. Sorry, my bad. Lame. I thought you said it's lame to say super exciting. So I said, no, it's not lame to say that.
No.
All right. Super long name. I mean, we don't get troubled by it. We are college counseling coach ourselves. So, okay, Rishabh. One of the cliched questions, all right, but important. What were the factors that motivated you to pursue college abroad?
Yeah. It's definitely a super important question, even if it might be cliched, because I have an elder brother who also studied in the US, and the first time round, my parents were completely clueless because going into the application process, applying to a different country, it's a scary experience going through it. But the second time round, when I was applying, we were more prepared for it, and my mother actually had done quite a bit of research and helped me throughout the process. But me personally, there was quite a few factors that affected me and that helped me decide which college I want to and where I want to study. I've always loved research projects and hands-on experiences approaches to the field of STEM. And I've always loved tinkering with random objects around the house. I've always loved. I've even participated in several science and STEM projects throughout my high school years. And one thing about US is the colleges here really allow students to explore these hands-on approaches to education, which you might not find in several other countries. And that's why this was a keen factor that made me decide to study in the US, and one of the main factors that helped me decide where I wanted to study. Because not only does education in this country allow you to have a hands-on approach towards what we are studying, but also prepares you for real life scenarios that you might face within the job force. And it doesn't leave you completely uh, unprepared for such situations and rather gears you towards them.
Very nice, Rishabh. In fact, you've preempted me by answering a question already, because I would have asked you why you've chosen US as your destination to study, but you've already answered that question for me. But from your last question, what I gathered, Rishabh, was that it was a very tough journey when I think your siblings started out for college to study abroad, and by the time
Mm-hmm.
your time came, your parents were better prepared, and you
Yeah,
said it was scary and tricky the first time.
yeah.
So you do agree that it's something which is arduous. It is something which could be intimidating on account of not many people knowing how to go about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you're applying to colleges abroad, especially, uh, not only is it, if you take India, for example, as one of the country, as your home country, you're going to be having a completely different application process and completely different approach to even deciding which college to apply for, which country to apply for. And there are so many factors that you take into consideration. And when you're in your 11th and 12th standard, you feel all this pressure saying that you have only a very short time to finish all those application processes before you have to match all the deadlines. You have to be ready with every submission that you have to have on time. And that entire process is quite scary and tenuous, but
Right.
in the end, it definitely all works out for the best.
Right, right. Rishabh, my next question to you is how did you zero in on the colleges to apply for? You've already told me the reason why you chose to study abroad, which is because you were really interested in STEM. You've already told me why you chose to go to US because, I mean, these subjects are taught with a rigor and intensity, and there's a much larger playing ground there for you to experiment with, and you get a free hand for a lot of things. Uh, I mean, that would have been the next question. Like I said, you already told me about that. So how did you select how did you select which colleges, the list that you're going to apply for in the US?
Definitely. So when you're applying to colleges in the US, a standard procedure that people follow are keeping a couple of reach, keeping a couple of safeties, and keeping a couple of I forget it's reach, safety, and uh
Aspiration?
yeah, dream colleges are the
Dream college.
so
Okay.
there are three grounds of colleges.
Okay.
One that's a bit of a stretch for you to get into, which is slightly more improbable version. A
Right.
couple of colleges that you're pretty sure that you will get into, and then
Right.
you have the middle ground of colleges that are a tiny bit of a reach, but something that you still have a high chance of getting into.
Right.
And differentiating your entire colleges that you're applying to into these three categories is something I would say really helps you into zeroing in colleges that you apply for.
Okay.
And one of the factors that I really considered, as I mentioned earlier, was research projects, research fundings, and also trying to see which colleges in the US are more geared towards STEM rather than business. And I was also ranking colleges based on their rankings for engineering, their rankings for mechanical, which at the time was the engineering that I wanted to go for, and seeing what kind of campus life they have. And even the weather is quite a key role that people really don't seem to think about, but it does have quite a huge
Yes.
effect on you.
Yes. Yes.
Because I personally cannot uh, thrive well in cold atmospheres, and when it's super cold and snowy, I can't go outdoors. I fall sick real fast, and people don't think it's much of uh,
Bother.
factor that should
Right.
be affecting you. But in the end of the day, this is a place that you can be spending at least the next 3 to 4 years of your life. And you would have to be at least comfortable along with your education experience, because if you're not comfortable studying, it's going to have a negative toll on you as the years proceed forward. So even though it's something that seems insignificant, I would say the weather as well is something that really played a key factor into the colleges I applied for. But definitely the main ones would have definitely been the rankings for engineering and the availability of research projects and their funding for the same.
So, Rishabh, I think one of the most important reasons why we are having this conversation with, with someone like you, and after you, some more people like you, is that we get to know these little inside details which we won't even think of. When one is coaching someone, when someone's mentoring someone, saying that, okay, the most obvious things are, which are the best colleges, which are the best colleges offering this course, which colleges would have the best facilities, like you said, research fundings, research laboratories, and all of that. But now when you say weather, one is actually, pushed into that direction to think that, yes, my physical environment, it really has an effect
Yeah,
how I think, how I behave, how I feel. And therefore, to have that level of comfort in order to be able to function, at my optimum, it's a very crucial thing. So I'm very glad you said that. It's not
yeah.
insignificant, really. Okay, my next question to you is, when did you start preparing for your admissions process?
So that's a question I could answer in two ways, to be quite frank with you, because I started the application process at the end of my 11th grade and the summer before my 12th standard,
Okay.
and that was when the application process started. But if you're talking about the factors that helped me apply for colleges with my research projects and my science projects and other extracurricular activities that I've uh, that I put into my applications and mentioned as things that I've done throughout my high school years, that would have probably started in the eighth and ninth standard, because it's at that point I didn't realize that these were factors that would help me apply to colleges and get into colleges that I wanted to. But in the end of the day, extracurricular is also a big part of the application process. So getting myself involved in activities outside just schooling uh, was something that I started around eighth standard. And uh, so you could say that I started then, but the very application process started the summer after 11th.
Great, Rishabh. Because usually what happens when students come to us in 11th and 12th, we realize that we've lost a lot of precious time. And therefore, our
Yeah,
advice and our recommendation is also that please start way in advance in grade 9 and 10, where you can stack up your extracurricular activities. And then in 11th and 12th, you do the whole process of applying for the logistics of it all, because you've already, prepared for this, right? So I agree with you, and maybe not agree with you, but I sort of endorse what you are saying. That yes, you need to start much earlier, and unwillingly and unwittingly, you had started in grade 8 and 9 as far as your extracurriculars go, and the process of putting your essays in place, your application, all of that started in grade 11, right?
yeah.
Thanks,
The
Rich.
end of grade 11.
Yes, yes. Rishabh, what about your common essay? What was the topic you chose to write for your common essay?
So for the general essay, I mean, for the common essay, I went with the general essay because it
Mm-hmm.
allowed me more freedom in my narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, I actually spoke about uh, I had an injury at the end of the 10th standard, and my essay went over the journey as regards my life learnings that I had,
Okay.
both post and prior to my injury, and how that had quite a good negative and positive effect on my life in terms of my health and in terms of the way I think and grow as a person.
All right. Okay. And any advice that you would like to give on how one should, have an action plan for building a profile? Because what you've done in the last, let's say, 4 years at high school is very, very important. And not just with respect to academics, but other things that you've done, especially for admission into college. So, what is it that you'd like to advise? And what are the challenges do you think students face in their prep journey?
So one thing that I would definitely like to advise to everyone who wants to apply to the US is try your best and start involving yourself in as many extracurricular activities as possible. It can be anything that's of interest to yourself. It doesn't have to be something that you're forcing yourself into doing, but do as many extracurriculars as possible. There's no limit if you're doing too much extracurricular, unless it of course is having an effect on your academics, because academics is the most important. But definitely involve yourself in as many extracurricular activities as possible, and honestly pursue your own hobbies, because pursuing your own hobbies and having dedication to something that you're truly fond of is something that colleges want to know. They want to know who you are as a person. And being able to show them this by showing your dedication to your own hobbies is something that will greatly help in your application process. And I would also say try your best to involve yourself in the community as much as your time permits. You don't have to be doing everything for a purpose. You can also be doing something just to be a better person and to help those around you. So try your best to volunteer around your locality, to involve yourself in the community as and be a better person in that way. But at the end of the day, all this in the said all of this, academics is the most important when it comes to these colleges. So I would say focus in your academics, the SATs, the ACTs, whatever it is that the colleges are requiring you to show grades for. Focus on those. It's never too late. Some students do have a harder time for it, and you might come into 11th grade or 12th grade saying, I've had really poor academics so far, I've been below average. It really doesn't matter. As long as you show colleges that you're on an upward trajectory and you've improved over time, that's all they want to see. You need not be the number one person in your class. You need not be getting 100 in all subjects. But as long as you can show colleges that, hey, I did so much in my previous exam, but I've done better this time. I've improved. That's all they want to see. And they want to see that you're growing as a person because that shows that you can learn from your mistakes. And that tells a really beautiful stories to these colleges.
Great,
So
great.
everything really boils down to these academics and try your best to improve yourself from wherever you are.
Is there anything about your college that you'd like to share with us that counselors or coaches would really not know of? I mean, it's only somebody who's been there. So tell me something about your college. What is probably unique about it, or how does it encourage you to be doing what you really love to do? All right, all of that.
Yeah, as far as A&M is concerned, it was actually a reach for me. It was a dream college for me, and I was really thrilled to get in. It was not a college that I thought I would be getting into, and when I finally got the offer for it, I was over the moon. I was really happy with that.
Awesome.
And in my very first year, I was actually in a smaller campus of A&M. A&M has quite a few campuses across the country and across the state of Texas. The main campus being in a city called College Station, and they also have one in a city called Galveston. So I studied my first year in the Galveston campus, which was a much smaller campus with with way fewer students and a much better student to teacher ratio. And that really helped me get into college as it was a less of a huge load on my back at the moment. It felt more like high school. It felt like I was with people around me that I knew. Because since it was such a small campus, anywhere you go, you are going to meet a familiar face. It could be someone who's a senior, it could be someone who's in their third year or a freshman. It doesn't matter. In the end of the day, everyone knows each other because of how small the campus is. And that was actually quite a really good experience for me, going into that in my first year and moving towards the bigger campus for my second year. And something that's really unique about A&M that not a lot of other colleges do is they have something called a general engineering aspect to it. So for any person who wants to pursue engineering and they apply to A&M, they don't directly get the major of their choice, but rather they're put into a program called general engineering. So for students who are pursuing general engineering, they would either be taking 2 or 3 semesters of common classes. So every student needs to do a certain number of math courses, a certain number of physics and chemistry courses, science, and a certain level of general coding and engineering classes. And based on the classes that they've taken, students get a better understanding of what engineering is going to be like. So if someone came into college thinking that they want to do chemical engineering, for example, but the second they take chemistry in college, they realize that's not perfect for them. They're not directly put into a spot where they have to take chemical engineering for the 4 years. Because after the first year, they're free to apply to whichever engineering they want to and come up with a list for it. And then they get into whichever engineering that they applied for.
So there's a lot of
But
flexibility, you mean to say, in terms of choosing what you have to after having worked on something already and having gained a certain amount of experience.
yeah, there is flexibility, but at the same time, it is slightly challenging because for your first year, they have what is, as I said, they have something that is called entry to a major or the ETAM process. And if you have a GPA of 3.75 or higher over your first year, you're guaranteed the first choice of your major. You're allowed to submit a total of 5 engineering majors that you're willing to that you want to apply for. But anyone who has below the 3.75 threshold will be put into a review system where people will go over your applications and 3 essays that you write, and then decide whether you're fit for one of your 5 majors. So I had at that point put mechanical engineering as my first choice, but I did not get the 3.75. I was not eligible for mechanical. So I did get my second choice, which was, as I mentioned, manufacturing and mechanical engineering. But it all worked out for the better, because once I started doing this course in my second year, I realized that the hands-on approach that this course gives me is not something that I got with mechanical. And if I had got that grade, I would not be able to experience what I am experiencing now, and I would have lost out on it. So I would say, in the end of the day, everything worked out for the best. But for some students who are really determined to have that one major choice, getting a 3.75 over your first year of engineering can be a bit of a challenge, because you are moving into your first year of college. It's a new atmosphere. You're living by yourself now. You don't have your families or guardians to take care of you. You're with a completely new set of friends. So it is sometimes challenging for students, and for some students, they thrive on it. So it really varies, but
Great, great.
this is something that's
I'm so
unique to
glad
A&M.
you're happy with your second choice, even if it wasn't
Yeah,
something that you'd wanted initially, but you realized that ultimately, it's been just as great as your first choice could have possibly been, right? Or maybe
exactly.
even better, right? There's
Yeah.
another question that I have for you. Any other advice? I mean, beyond the test prep, start preparing in grade 9, have your get your act together in those early years, and then in 11th and 12th, go hell for leather as far as your academics is concerned. Don't lose heart. Any other advice that you'd like to give to students who are preparing to go abroad for their undergraduate program?
I'll just ask them to reach out, try to form a community and support group. Don't isolate yourself, because that's never the best situation for you. And all colleges, regardless of which college or country that you're going to, are going to have different sorts of tutoring and study groups. But it's upon you to avail them. So go out of your way, search for these groups, get into them. If you feel like you're struggling with one subject, you're not alone. There's a whole group of people who are helping each other out for the same thing. And try your best to be involved around campus, because, as I said, if you do isolate yourself, you're going to start feeling lonely, and that's not going to help you. And as courses get even harder, you're going to feel like you have more of a burden and more of a stress load on your back. So try your best to find a method of relaxation, a method or something to just get that load off your back over the weekends or over any free time that you have.
That's really
And
nice, Rishabh. That's really nice. I like the fact that you're just not focusing on, just get going, just keep working, just keep your nose to the grindstone, burn the midnight oil. But you're
yeah,
focusing, I mean, not really focusing, I would say you're also throwing light on aspects which are generally not noticed or not taken cognizance of. For instance, like you
yeah.
said, find time to relax. It can be a stressful journey. Find a community where, people are sharing the same experiences, so that you don't feel that you're the only one who's going through this. And it's a hard journey. It's not going to be very
Yeah, it's a part of the college experience for you to not
yes,
only study, but you're going to a different country, you're going to
yes,
a different place that's new to you. Even though you're there to study, in the end of the day, you do want to have a good time as well. It's not just focus and have that grind mindset for those 4 years. Definitely do that, but also have a group of friends, have something to relax, to be
yeah,
involved in sports if that's your thing,
yeah,
music or
yeah.
anything whatsoever.
Correct. I'm going to get into a rapid fire question with you, Rishabh, very quickly. What's your college, Rishabh?
So that's Texas A&M.
What's your major?
Manufacturing and mechanical engineering technology.
What's your favorite subject?
It would have to be physics,
What's your hobby?
music,
One mistake if you would want to avoid?
or procrastinating.
Who was the biggest influencer in your college application process?
My mother.
All right. Thank you so much, Rishabh. It has been a very, very enlightening experience for me as well to hear it from the perspective of someone who's just entered into college. And you're in your second year now, is it?
Yeah, I'm in my second year.
You're
And
in your
thank you for
second.
having me over. And feel free to share my email address with any student that has any questions that they want to clarify. I'll be available to them, and I'll be able to respond in as 24 to 48 hours if I can.
Thank you so much, Rishabh. I think that's really kind of you. It has been a lovely experience talking to you, and I hope we keep interacting offline again.
Thank you so much.
All right, Rishabh. Thank you.